There is cripple plushie drama. The crippled plushie fandom is collapsing, and it's Barbie Paris is here to tell us about it and her regrets. Why I regret supporting Plushie Dreadfuls by It's Barbie Paris, or It's Barbie Paris. Quickie, it's just 10 minutes. Let's see what happens here. Is this another autist bullying from Tim? I'm allowed to. I'm autistic myself. I can't understand that it's bullying, because I'm autistic. Is it a Naruto bunny? Why is it censored? Alright, let's go. Apparently Pan was a phase people went through. American McGee? Wait, the actual guy? He was selling like crazy. We ordered a bunch in response to their sale, and poof, people lost interest in being Pan, and the sales dropped. I don't find that. If that's as bad as it gets, I'm underwhelmed. I don't think this is fetish stuff.
Today, a mutual of mine posted about their Plushie Dreadfuls, and it's been on like the top of my list to make a video about for a while.
I don't know what's happening.
I kind of feel some type of responsibility.
The video is not playing, but the music is playing. Let's try this again.
Today, a mutual of mine posted about their Plushie Dreadfuls, and it's been on like the top of my list to make a video about for a while. And in some way, I kind of feel some type of responsibility for not talking about this sooner.
Okay, can we just recognize Plushie Dreadful? Guys, I think there's something wrong with my, stitched fabric sack. It's called Plushie Dreadful, to be fair, no matter what's wrong with it. It's in the name.
I just think there's so many things to talk about in a disabled sphere, like the states right now literally suing to remove themselves from the 504. There's been a lot going on.
I'd hate to be trapped in the disabled sphere. That's the thing they have in Las Vegas right now, right?
But I've been wanting to address Plushie Dreadfuls for quite some time. These are the two Plushie Dreadfuls that I own. This is the Ehlers Danlos rabbit, as you can see.
Okay.
Super cool. It kind of has like a fidget feature. And this is the Pops Bunny, all of the Plushie Dreadfuls.
Classic Looney Tunes. Classic Looney Tunes. The gimmick is, when he stands up, he falls over and passes out. So he has to stay chill, but all the wacky antics around him tempt him into standing up, and he just, blood pressure through the floor, passes out.
Are allegedly designed by people within the community, and so they have different features, and so it's like, this is supposed to represent like the lack of blood flow, the blue, the heart, the sad face. But this is the POTS, and they have plushies typically.
POTS, by the way, is postural tachycardia syndrome, right? It's one of those things that's real, but no way even half of the people who say they have it. It's one of those.
Rabbits for like every chronic illness, just about anything you think of. So now it might sound like I'm saying something very nice about this company, but I am here to drag them.
All right.
And I don't know why it hasn't been talked about more in the plushie community. And you're probably like, is there a plushie community? Yes, and it's...
I mean, obviously. I'm not like, is there a plushie community? I remember Beanie Babies. There's a community for everything as well. There's like a toaster lover community. There's a coffee community. Of course there's a plushie community. You're not shocking
it's
me
huge,
here.
and nobody's talking about Plushie Dreadfuls. So Plushie Dreadfuls have a huge history of controversy that I was not aware of, and even recent controversy, which is disgusting. So let's talk about it. Let's show some screenshots, etc. Let's talk about a few of their designs, and now...
You're not wrong, Yumlo. I am aware of the fire alarm community. Bros with an entire shelf next to them, as if, like, the young adult literature chicks with the 5 million soft porn books, these guys just have fire alarms. At least a fire alarm can save your life.
Trigger warning, I'm going to display some of their plushes on screen. Some of their plushes have depictions of what I can only describe as SH. And while...
Sexual harassment? You think so? SH. Silent Hill. Self-harm, I feel, is more likely given the health. Given the health theme, I think self-harm is right.
This may have been made by somebody in the community. I don't know if this is necessarily representative of the entire community, and I'm going to touch on that more with their history of their autism plush, because there is a current autism plush and there is a retired version, and
it'd be more offensive if there was a retarded version, though.
Both of them have controversy. I'm going to show you the OCD rabbit. Please take in mind what I've
some kind of vibrator that you can't turn off.
Already said about this plush. Proceed at your own risk. This is the OCD rabbit from Plushie Dreadfuls. Now, I don't know.
Okay. Now, my understanding is that self-harm is quite common in people with OCD as a coping mechanism, as a way to release endorphins or whatever, and as another way of distracting from their obsession. Particularly if someone suffers from what's called pure obsession with no compulsion, connected to it. Sometimes people get relief if they have an obsession and they're compelled to do something. They do the compulsion to get relief, and that's how they end up in those like stereotypical cycles of behavior. Some people just have an obsession, and one of the ways they get away from it is self-harm. You could say it's distasteful to turn that into a plushie, but if you're thinking along those lines, why isn't like a health condition plushie distasteful to begin with? I don't know. I don't know where you draw the line.
If you also
Apparently on its legs, arms, and forehead.
have OCD, but does this look representative of OCD to you?
Might be representative of some kind of OCD. When you talk about a condition that can manifest in many ways, making one thing representative of everyone's experience, you can't really do it. Not really possible. It'll just be a nothing.
Maybe for some people.
Yeah.
But I find this, I don't know, this makes me feel very uncomfortable. To me, this looks like a edgy.
I wish with the things I've looked at, a rabbit plushie with a couple red lines on it would make me go, this makes me uncomfortable. I wish I was on the level where that would make me think, oh, I think
cartoon character of somebody with OCD.
I'd say that's a fair characterization, to be honest, but also, yeah, okay, yeah. Indeed, people in chat repeating it's Plushie Dreadfuls. Yeah, that's the point, isn't
Sucks. If you like this guy, no hate to you, but yikes. This is their original design for their autism.
If you like this, no offense to you, but I think its existence is an affront to God, alright?
Some rabbit. As you can see, there's nothing like outwardly
I don't like this. Is that an infinity sign with an arrow pointing to its crotch?
strange about this one until you get more of the
That is not an ice cube train. That is a fidget toy. You just press in the blobs.
backstory. It was released for an Autism Awareness Month, not acceptance, but awareness. And all of the Plushie Dreadfuls
Okay. I just want to be clear that autism should never be accepted, but you need to be warned that it exists. Just want to be clear, it is Awareness Month.
claim that some of their proceeds are donated to some places that deal with like some of these mental health disorders. So specifically with this rabbit,
Oh, what? A lot of people don't like it being called a mental health disorder. You've already failed on the woke test.
Kylo Ren. For this particular rabbit, they're raising money for the A.E. Wood Foundation, which you can do a little bit of research, but they're not great, and support and perform ABA. So
that is the like autism behavior training thing, right? I think ABA is where they teach you not to be a Turbosberg. They force you into a cage. They make you mask. They make you hide your true autistic soul.
this little guy is not a friend to autistic people.
Watch out.
They currently sold their Kylo Ren version of the autism inspired wrap. And the brand kind of has this vibe and this notoriety for kind of having a edgier look to them.
They're called Plushie Dreadfuls.
They have like a late 2000s emo quality to them, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as well, because you might recognize the person who made this brand from another franchise. But this is the current autism rabbit, which differs from anything.
It's like Chinese lunar animal years, whatever. I don't know how to say it. It's like Chinese zodiac, whatever. This is this year's autism rabbit.
Else on the website. And maybe this is like a minor nitpick here, but is it just me, or does
Why don't we have an autism new year?
this rabbit just scream infantile?
Yeah, it's a plushie. Plushie community member complains of infantile nature of very premise of said community.
Hi, my name is Charlie, and I'm autistic, and I probably do like things that are often for perhaps younger people, but my autism itself is not represented by infantile-like things, and I am an adult.
But you like the basic idea of plushies that represent conditions people have, though. Yes, you're not against the whole thing, but it being a plushie means it's always going to be that,
And,
no
like,
matter what the
adult
design
things.
is.
And so this really, to me, stands out on their website, and it feels quite intentional. And again, they're very, in my opinion, they're very vague about who they donate to in general now. And I wouldn't trust that some of the money is going to perhaps some foundations that maybe don't support the people that the plush is about.
I thought she was going to name drop Autism Speaks.
Let's talk about the creator's behavior on a Plushie Dreadfuls
Let's
Discord
go.
channel. This
Here we
is
go.
probably the most recent controversy that I'm aware of. There's more that I didn't even touch on because honestly, I do not have time. They are that, in my opinion, that bad. And I picked things because there's a lot to discuss. Anyway, let's get into this.
Gotcha.
For some context, they're talking about the pansexuality rabbit. So like I said, they have the rabbits that represent all of the different syndromes and illnesses and mental health issues.
Like, autism, partial tachycardic syndrome, homosexuality.
But they also have things like fruits and LGBTQ plus inspired plush as well. On the surface, it looks great. There's a variety of different plush available to fit your need. But let's
Literally no one has a need for disorder plushies.
let's read this. Well, apparently Pan was a phase people went through. It was selling like crazy. We ordered a bunch in response to those sales, and then ... in quotes, poof. People lost interest.
It's pretty hardcore if you're British, alright?
In being quote unquote pan, and the sales dropped to nearly zero. What the fuck? And many people tried.
If that's a real trend, it's not his fault he noticed. If that actually occurred, you don't have to pretend it didn't occur, because you don't like the implication of that reality.
To educate them. Like, hey, what you're saying sucks. Not just once, but several times he stands his ground. Let's get into it. Hey, I call it a phase because it was trending hugely on TikTok for some while, and now it's not. Do not come at me like that. I will just straight up ban you. Thanks. Drive through, please. I have zero patience for Discord nonsense these days. I am not here to be attacked or
I don't know, man, that's pretty based. I feel the same way.
or messed with in any way. The whole place and these attitudes stress me out beyond belief. But you just say casual homophobic things like that, like...
Homophobic? Use the word. Use the right word. Panphobic.
Yeah, pansexuality, phase.
You had to call it homophobic because you don't take panphobia seriously.
We just...
How about that? How about that implication?
Magically stopped selling them because it was just trending on TikTok and now it's over, so I guess pansexuality was pretend. Quit coming at me, I'll just ban you.
For a lot of people, yeah.
You from my Discord. Like my guy, you make plushies. Worked on an emo Alice in Wonderland video game. Let's calm down. Again, people trying to nicely educate them. We both said our bit. This is over. Move on. These are your customers. These are your customers from...
Just because someone buys your shit doesn't mean you have to behave exactly how they want forever from that moment onwards.
Marginalized groups. Like, you specifically create plush for marginalized people with different illnesses or different sexualities or different identities. For what? Money? That's it?
You sell products tailored to certain demographics for money?
That's all this is to you? That's what it gives to me. Maybe Plushie Dreadfuls were just a phase. Ever think about that? American Mickey
maybe.
is also responsible for the Alice Returns franchise. I enjoyed this as like an edgy 13-year-old, but I don't know, like as a grown-up playing it, it felt strange. Like the entire video game is filled with weird, stereotypical mental illness tropes.
Yeah, the style. It's like the whole point of it,
Well,
is it
my
not?
controversy of this video game franchise is much weaker in comparison with my criticism.
There's a guy called the Mad Hatter. He's the misunderstood Hatter, and it's a shame they didn't go there with it.
Of his doll line. There's also some weird labyrinths that you can fall down about this video game. It also was supposed to be a movie at some point. Some drama allegedly perhaps ensued over the writing of a love interest. I don't know, there's so much. But if you're also supporting this franchise, I believe it used to be on one of the Game Passes. It's the same guy who capitalizes on chronic and mental illness when it's financially good for him.
When the else are you going to capitalize on it? That's what capitalizing on it is.
And if those things like...
Hey, this guy doesn't make products no one will buy. And when it seems like a trend is over, he stops. What?
LGBTQ plus identities aren't making him money, if chronic illnesses aren't making him money, then in his head, if he can't capitalize on that, then it's just pretend, and he has every right to say so.
He didn't even say it was pretend. Foundationally, like, he's saying it popped off as a trend. There were a lot of people calling themselves pan for a long time who then stopped. Come on.
So he says. And if you look up any interactions that this particular creator has had with fans who have questions or maybe negative things to say, he always comes off in a strangely combative and defensive way, defending like his video games, defending his plush line. But really it's people from these like marginalized groups typically educating him and him just not getting it.
But they weren't smart enough to not buy his stuff, were they?
I guess.
Oops.
And in my opinion, the most important thing about you to him is how much money that you're willing to spend on his products.
That's great. If you do, he'll do what you want. That's valuable to you, right? Isn't that like a huge LGBT strat? Or at least they try and present themselves as willing to give you a bunch of money?
Like, don't even speak to him. Don't form an opinion. Just love the products, buy the products, and mindlessly consume it. Also, and this is all alleged, this is all my opinion, but...
This is all alleged. You can't defend yourself with that if it's you coming up with it as the original source. That's not how it works.
Both of my plush...
It's not... Allegedly is not in Minecraft. It's when you're referring to someone else's claim.
Came with labels that said that they were like handmade or had some hand craft to them. But from who? I don't know if you guys paid attention or if yours had a similar thing, but mine shipped directly from mainland China. Like if I ordered something.
Dirty hands worked on these plushies. These are... People with chronic illnesses buy them and they were made in China. Who knows what kind of viruses could be...
off Alibaba. And there's a lot of different factories and a lot of different conditions there. Something gives me kind of a red flag there. That, in my opinion, in my experience, and how I feel, American McGee, anyone with eyes can see that you are fully capitalizing on people with illnesses or of minority groups. I just think it's gross.
I think it's fine if the product's alright. It's what you want. You get it. You give him money. You get the thing you like the look of. If it's like made with copper wire that is irradiated and is killing you or something, sure, something like that. If the charity the money went to is like a scam or they didn't give it to charity, something like that. But